Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about the law of compensation and how it's not karma. I think that's how most of us refer to it. In talking about it, I'm going to explain the differences between karma, some of the neuroscience and brain smarts that go along with it, how it affects habit loops, and sort of what you can do about that. I think if you've ever thought karma, right? Good or bad. That's what most of us, I think of it, are like a cosmic scoreboard, if you will. It might surprise you that the law of compensation is actually not karma. Karma is actually a universal grouping of laws. It's not one universal law or the other. So what is the law of compensation? It states that you will be compensated in direct proportion to the effort or energy that you put forth, if you will. I think of it like energy instead of effort. So you will directly be compensated for the amount of energy you put out. Good, bad, indifferent. The universe, your brain, they speak the same language. It's not good or bad. It's neutral. Your brain repeats. Your energy is going to attract or repel things, but the amount of energy you put into something. So you can dream big, but if you're not making any effort towards that dream, it may or may not come true. But law of compensation is you will be compensated for the work you put into something, if you will. Notice I didn't say that you were going to get paid immediately. It's not going to happen like this. Everything has a cycle. Compensation is not always money. Sometimes it's other types of gifts. It more often comes in like opportunities, relationships, wisdom, peace. So let me break that down a little bit and what I think makes it easier to understand. When you put forth energy, you will be compensated in direct proportion for the energy you put out. So if you're dreaming big and trying to grow, you're going to see opportunities, relationships, people, insights, all of those things are going to come in, but it doesn't mean necessarily that the dream is going to happen today. So that's kind of the law of compensation. It's not karma. It's you will be compensated for the energy you put out. Karma is a big grouping of laws. So for example, there's the law of cause and effect, which basically says every action creates a consequence. That consequence can be good or bad, but that's the law of cause and effect. The law of vibration actually says that the energy you embody or that you are influences your experience, right? So what you're vibing at is what you're going to get. If you're feeling good, you're going to get more good. If you're feeling heavy, you're going to get more heavy. I kind of think of it like that. Law of attraction says that like attracts like, birds of a feather, if you will. And the law of compensation reminds us that the value you contributed or the energy you put forth eventually returns to you. So it's all of those working together that really make karma. It's not one thing. It's energetically a bunch of things working together. Understanding the universal laws and how they work together, it actually gives you so much more power than simply just hoping or dreaming for a karmic scoreboard. So law of compensation is about putting out the right energy for your garden to grow, but you also have to get some patience in there to let it bloom or fruit, if you will. So we can't always make these things come in quickly. I think that that's important to understand that law of compensation is really more like you reap what you sow. You're going to get back what you put out, whether that be good, bad, indifferent. So the reason that I'm still standing strong or sitting strong in this moment is that I put forth the effort. And so my body responded, the universe responded. That's the law of compensation. You will get back what you put into it. So again, law of compensation not being karma. It's you have to be willing to do a little work. And honestly, my own view is that in society, we're not rewarded for that. We're trained to focus on the now, and only what you're getting today without thinking about the fact that we have lives left to live. Again, reaping what you sow. You have to make decisions on what is going to be the best thing for yourself given the obstacles you're facing, because life is full of obstacles and lessons. And sometimes the lesson is the compensation. Sometimes the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, wants you to learn your lesson. And sometimes those lessons hurt. Like we've all heard, the truth hurts. But seeing it for what it is and understanding where you want to go and deciding what energy or effort you want to put into going where you want to go, if you're doing that, you're going to be a little patient and those things will come in. So remember that compensation is not karma. It's not cause and effect, which is more so karma than some of the other ones. But karma is the grouping of all those laws. Compensation is is about what energy you put out. You will be directly compensated for the energy you put out. So if you dream big and put no energy into it, you will be directly compensated for that. If you set a goal and you work your tail off to get there, you will be directly compensated for that. And not always in the way we want to or what we think it's going to be. You have to let go of the how, because again, sometimes the compensation is the lesson you learned in that is serving future you. I think you need to think about compensation as not a transaction. I think one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is in treating the law kind of like it's a vending machine. Compensation is not a transaction. It's about putting forth energy and knowing that it's for future you. So if I do this, I need to take some sort of inspired actions or actions in that direction. If I plant a seed, I need to water it. I need to give it the right nutrients. I need to make sure that it can bloom healthy. This is how the law actually works. It's responding to who you are becoming. The universe is responding to what you reap. The universe is responding to the energetic effort you put out. What nutrients are you giving your garden? If generosity is what you want, it's generosity that changes you. I always think about what I used to do versus what I do now. After the stroke, my brain changed, my body changed. I had to change, but there are still plenty of moments years later where those old habits in my brain, I wake up and I'm like, I'm going to do this. Well, now I'm somebody who does something different. I'm aware of what I used to do versus what I do now. If you consistently show up with integrity, people will notice, even if they don't tell you. But if you show up and you lie and you talk about people all the time, people may not tell you right away, but eventually that will be your reputation, because compensation is actually cumulative. That's a really big misconception in the law of compensation. It's cumulative. It's like filling a pitcher. It's like filling a vase. It's filling a glass with water. It's not one drop, but it's the accumulation of all that will become that. That's part of the law of compensation, is the cumulative efforts. So just because you don't see immediate results, it doesn't mean that it's not happening in the background or at all. You just have to start becoming aware of that. And, if you're filling a glass, you have to pour water in and not just a drop at a time, right? Sometimes it's a drop at a time to fill the glass. Eventually the glass fills. And sometimes it's turning on a faucet and the glass fills quickly. Compensation is cumulative, like those drops of water. So it's about who you're becoming and what you're doing. Like, again, showing up with integrity, telling the truth, and living by your code, even when it's hard. That will cumulatively make you the person that is. That's your moral code. It is about what you cumulatively do. I always think about the people who talk to me poorly about other people. I'm aware that as soon as I'm out of the way, they may not do it right away, but eventually they will be talking about me that way. They just showed me who they are. That is their law of compensation. That is the code they're living by. I don't talk about people. I don't judge people. I don't bother with that. I stick to the code of my peace, and that has become cumulative. We are a little more than 2 years, almost 3 years away from me almost dying, and I chose to create a lifestyle and a peace. And now that we're there, the law of compensation, that cumulative, has made me something that I never thought I could be. There was no awareness in Jenna 1.0 that it was possible to live at peace and just enjoy life. I felt like I had to hustle, grind, do, overachieve. And cumulatively, that pushed me into a stroke, what some people might call burnout. But I think you have to realize law of compensation is cumulative. There's actually a very interesting connection in neuroscience with this. I learned this while healing, that the brain strengthens what you repeatedly practice. So every time you're choosing gratitude over a resentment, somebody made you mad, thanks for the lesson. Somebody gossiped about somebody and made you feel bad. Okay, thanks for showing me who you are. Now I can move energetically away from you. Anytime you choose generosity over scarcity, right? I have enough to share. I have enough to cover my own and be abundant and have enough to share. I don't have to overshare, but I have enough to not worry. Every time you choose that generosity over scarcity, when you show up when no one applauds, when you do those things, you actually reinforce these neural pathways to make those behaviors become natural, and your identity will cumulatively change. It's not about one day. It's about who you're becoming. I'm always somebody who's saying, I'm the kind of person who. It doesn't mean that I have to be perfect, but I'm the kind of person who's abundant. I'm the kind of person who's peaceful. It doesn't mean that life doesn't come in. right? That's going to happen. But I think when I make those choices, the law of compensation is I am directly compensated for making those choices. Even when they're hard, I will get back cumulatively what I'm putting out. And I think that that's a big misconception in the law of compensation, that we expect it now, click, click, easy button. But the law of compensation is cumulative. You have to really be aware of that. Sometimes it comes in instantaneously, and be grateful when it does, but most times it needs to go through a cycle, much like a farmer planting his seeds and waiting for the harvest. So the scarcity trap happens because people block their compensation. What do I mean by that? They give while they're secretly keeping score, right? You do something nice for somebody, but you remember, I'm going to get something back from you later. That's secretly keeping score. Or they help expecting to be recognized for their help. Oh, I went and did this charity work. Now I expect recognition. Let me post it on, social media and have everybody like, and clap. You're not doing it just to give. You're expecting something back. You compare your journey to others. We are all guilty of this, me too. Keeping up with the Joneses or whatnot, but you're comparing where it is. You're actually competing versus compensating. Your mindset will actually create scarcity without you being aware of it. Subconsciously, you are operating from lack, or I am doing this to get something. When you are doing to get, you're not being grateful. You're not being helpful. You're secretly keeping score. So to actually change your identity, which will change your relationship and your opportunities will change, it starts from the inside out. And that's kind of how the law of compensation works. So being abundant, just giving to give without expecting anything in return, helping somebody because you just want to be helpful. You're not expecting any recognition or applause. You know that it's your job to do something. Like, for example, me, I show up and I record this podcast every week, whether people applaud or not. This is my commitment. Now, I love all of you that come back and watch and listen and like and comment and share. Thank you so much, because this means a lot to me. But I show up and do it just to do it. My goal is to help you all live a life that's stress-free and peaceful, which I learned how to create. I did not know this before a stroke, but I do know it now. Think about somebody who spends years learning a new skill. You go to school, you train, maybe it's a coach, a teacher, a nurse, or even an entrepreneur. For a long time, no one notices. It's not exciting, it might be boring, but nobody notices the work that they're doing. And suddenly the law of compensation arrives. It looks like it happened overnight, but it was all the work that they put in. You are building that compensation bucket for something to pay off. So when you're showing up and doing the work without, maybe you have a desired result or a goal, but you're not doing it for that. That's kind of the law of compensation in real work. The joke for entrepreneurs is, what is an overnight success? 10 years and an overnight success. But it's all the daily, weekly efforts that get placed in there that when it pays off big. Seeds were planted long before the harvest. That reminds me of one of my favorite stories, the Chinese bamboo story. Like, if you get a Chinese bamboo seed, you plant it in the ground, 5 years, nothing happens. Year 1, you watered it, you nurtured it, you see nothing. Year 2, still nothing. Year 3, is it growing? No. Year 4, still looking. Year 5, suddenly the most amazing thing happens. It breaks the ground, and in 6 weeks, it's 90 feet tall. There was nothing, and then in 6 weeks, it's 90 feet, right? That's a 9-story building, y'all. That's a lot. And so that's how the law of compensation works. It was rooting those whole 5 years, but because it was being tended to, nurtured, watered, all the root structure was going, and once its roots were ready, it sprung up. And that's the law of compensation in real time. It isn't fast. There's a time buffer. So it's showing up and doing the work when nobody notices. It's practicing gratitude and abundance when your bank account doesn't see it yet, when your relationships, family, friends, etc., aren't returning what you're putting in. The law of compensation is planting the seeds. Now, yes, there is a piece of it that if you are constantly watering seeds of somebody who's taking, every time you water the seed, somebody's taking the water, maybe you need to change some relationships. There's many complex things to that, but planting your seeds and showing up and watering the plants, just like a farmer who's planting a harvest, right? You're planting in the spring or the fall, and you have to water, nurture, cut, prune, do all the work while there's nothing to see. And then the harvest comes in and it's bountiful, but you have to do the work. And the law of compensation is that. It is the direct result of constantly planting seeds and doing the work. So I'm going to challenge you with a couple of things. Stop stop asking yourself, what will I get? When you do something, what is my return on investment? Sure, those are valid things, but not to every relationship. What is my return on investment might be a financial thing, but your relationship should not work that way. So just stop asking, what will I get if I do this? Instead, ask, what value am I providing? How am I helping this person? How am I serving the greater good? How am I growing? How can I leave this person better than I found them? If you just start doing that, you will change things. You will stop operating from scarcity, even though that might not be what you think you're doing. But if you stop looking for a result, you're just doing the work and moving in the right direction, the law of compensation will actually benefit you. And it won't be a lot of Murphy's Law, like whatever can go wrong will. You are working towards a goal, not expecting to receive back for it, but you're just doing the work. You will be compensated after a time buffer in ways that you can't imagine today. So don't ask what you're going to get or expect a result. I just challenge you to stop keeping score. Just do good to do good. So trust that your compensation is not immediate. There's a time buffer, but it's always connected to what you're cultivating, what you're planting, what you're growing. So that's sort of how it works. The law of compensation reminds us that it's not about getting, it's about becoming. It's not about an immediate return. It's about becoming someone who. So the law of compensation works that way. I'm someone who helps people. I'm someone who serves the greater good. For me, I'm someone who shows up and weekly does a podcast hoping that people improve their lives with the knowledge and skill that I've gained, not just from researching, but also what I've survived. I'm not looking for something back. Yes, I absolutely hope that there is a compensation for what I do. I am well aware that at some point, with a time buffer of whatever, if I keep doing this work without expecting something back, the returns are going to be amazing. They haven't hit yet. It's not immediate, but my bamboo is rooting. My harvest is getting ready, and at some point that'll come in. So I encourage you to keep showing up, keep creating value, keep growing. The universe has a way of returning things to you. What you've invested in, even when you're not seeing the results, keep showing up and doing the work. Keep doing the boring stuff and showing up when no one notices. I think that's the hardest part in our culture is, what are you getting for this? What now, right? We all want to see the big dramatic things, but most of life is really the mundane. It is the day-to-day stuff we're doing. So, you can break that down to, I prefer a bacon cheeseburger over a salad. I really do. But I also am aware that if I was to eat a bacon cheeseburger every day, that's not going to be good for my health. Now, that doesn't mean I'm never going to get a bacon cheeseburger. It just means that is not my daily habit. I am going to more often than not eat the right things so that my body is healthy and feels good. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have a cheat day, but I think that's kind of how the law of compensation works. Show up and do the right thing more often than not. Show up on time for work. Do your best at your job. You're compensated by your paycheck, but you're not aware. It might be a future job opportunity. You might have created a reputation with a customer or a colleague that will benefit you later on. You never know where the compensation is going to come from. So stop predicting it. Just do the right thing to do the right thing. Serve, provide value every day because you have no idea where that compensation is going to come from. All the previous karma that I put out there and compensation, if you will, I truly believe that's part of the reason I got to live when I should have died is I did so many right things that I was compensated at a time when I needed it. It is almost 3 years after that stroke that I look back and think that good karma or good compensation that I had built up was ready for me at a time that I needed it, but I couldn't have predicted it for the 10 years, 20 years I did all the good work before. So don't operate from scarcity. Just show up and do the right thing. Do your best. One of my favorite quotes, again, Maya Angelou, if you listen to me, you'll know I love her, but it was, do your best until you know better, then do better. Just do your best. Nobody can fault you for not being perfect or, making a mistake, but just do your best all the time and you will be compensated for it. That's sort of how it works. So keep showing up, keep providing value, keep doing the right things. Keep doing it when nobody is looking and the crowd is not applauding. Keep doing it because one day you will look back and realize that all those efforts, that little bit over time made those big differences. And while you aren't going to see it daily, you will see it in the long term. Thanks for joining me today. Remember, karma's real, energy's contagious. Check your vibes. I now have my workbook available for purchase on my website, JustCallJenna.online. There's a shop button. You can purchase the workbook that shows you 7 days of how to start resetting your stress level. It's downloadable. You're not getting some book. You can just download it and print it on your printer or use it on your phone. For many of my listeners, I've been getting emails and comments about people asking how to get started without choosing to have coaching or lifelong sessions, if you will. Purchase it. It will give you the momentum to get started. And then if you need more support, please reach out to me. All my contact information is on my website.
Just call Jenna.